Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
We are the United States of America. We can overcome anything or any person. Stay strong and have pride in the USA. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America on this very important morning. Good morning. We need a patriot with the Pledge of Allegiance. And a thank you to that lovely lady, Kate Smith, and her greatest rendition of God Bless America. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with the best in tires and service for you. Also, our dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would really appreciate it.
May she wave for a long time over the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Absolutely. Doug, thank you so much. God bless you, and call back a little later. I really would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Well done, my friend, and right now let's go to the weather forecast, and the weather provided by Roger and the crew at K&R Rental. They got everything. I mean, they literally have everything, all the best of tools, and underline the word best. Best of tools and equipment for you to finish any kind of a project. Absolutely. You name it, they've got it. And if you're not sure what you need to finish a project or even start a project, give them a call, 678-3122. They're located at 256 South, 600 West in Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Right now, here's old Scott Man with the weather.
Maybe a little snow in the forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be right around 40. Increasing clouds tonight with a low of 24. For Thursday, partly sunny and a high of 41. Mostly cloudy Thursday night with a low of 25. Now for Friday, 20% chance of snow. Looking for a high of 40 there. Friday night, still that 20% chance of snow with a low of 24. Saturday, slight chance of snow in the morning, then mostly cloudy, a high of 34. Partly cloudy for Saturday night, a low of 16. And for Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 34. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
Thank you, Scotty, and brought to everybody by K&R Rental. These people are so good, and they've got everything as far as tools and equipment for both the long and the short-term rental. So get a hold of them today, 678-3122, or stop in. They're located, you can't miss them, on the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Want to also give a great big shout out to our dear friends, and I know they got there at about 7:30 this morning and opened the doors. They do that every day, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5 at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, I'll give you that right up front, 678-0459. They literally, I'm telling you, have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, plus the best of people and 7 decades of experience. They're good. They're good. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Let's go to the phone line and say good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know, I was really looking forward to this day, but I heard something yesterday or last evening that really made my stomach turn.
What was that, Keith?
Mitch McConnell, the head of the head of our party as far as the senator is concerned, has turned out to be a two-faced SOB because he's going to vote against Trump. I know he is. He thinks he incited that riot. And I'll tell you what, that I feel sorry for President Trump because there's so many of those people who were two-faced about their position.
Yeah. I have said, and if you've listened to this program over the last couple of years, you know it's the truth, and I can pull it out of the archives and tell you, I have never liked, I never wanted to hear Mitch McConnell. I thought he was absolutely just a breeze that was blowing in the wind, or a flag blowing in the wind. He'd blow whichever way the wind blew. I don't trust the man, I never did, and now it's coming to fruition that he is absolutely trying to go along, to get along, and slamming President Donald Trump and his allies for what he thinks are misgivings or shortcomings over the last 4 years. I think Mitch McConnell should be replaced now, this minute, absolutely voted out as the Senate Majority Leader. He's going to be out with Chuck Schumer, but any power that he still has for the Republican Party as the Minority Leader, I think he should be nullified, absolutely taken out of that position.
He has brought a whole new meaning to the word milk toast.
And two-faced. Yeah. I have no respect. I'll tell you what, I am going to be very, very vindictive today. I am not going to be happy and everybody let's prance and dance down the yellow brick road, throwing rose petals in our path. Oh, we're so happy because Joe Biden is president. I can't be liar. I can't be dishonest, and I'm not going to be. I absolutely am treating this as a very sad day for me. I'll admit that I'm deeply saddened that we, the people of the United States, are going to be going through some very rough times, mark my words, with the Biden-Harris socialist administration.
You know, you've never spoken truer words, because that's exactly how I feel. I feel really depressed today. And it all started because of this Mitch McConnell. And then when I see he's going to a church service holding hands with Joe Biden,
yeah,
I just don't know what we're going to do.
You know, Keith, I had a lot of criticism over the last couple of months, and the left and the liberals and the Democrats in this area have said, oh, you're so negative. You're just not looking at the positive of having a better president. Well, amen to you, and you have a right to your opinion. But then conversely, I have a right to my opinion. My listeners and callers have a right to their opinion. And I absolutely will not be stymied. I will not be reprogrammed. I will not be purged or cleansed to think that your train of thought, as far as being a progressive democratic socialist, is where I want to be. I don't.
I don't either. And at my age, I'm going to do what I can, but I don't know what it's going to be.
All right, Keith, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. You're a loyal caller and listener, and I appreciate it. God bless you, man. I got to pay some bills. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you. Denny's Restaurant, and it goes without saying that, and I mean this, as a note of sadness from Deanne and I. It's a note of sadness that we're going to try like heck to get the lunch bunchers back together again in not too distant future at Denny's restaurant. I miss those people. I just had a wonderful, wonderful time and relationship with our lunch bunch and, of course, Thomas and Michelle and everybody at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. I urge you to stop in and support these folks at 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. The best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time, with really nice people at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Before I take the next call, caller, if you'd just be real gracious and stand there for a second or sit down for a second, I want to remind everybody, too, about Dino's Septic Service. Septic tank pumping, backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, liquid waste removal. I mean, they're doing the job that we don't want to do, and they do it so well. They are the most sought after to get the job done for you. Dino's Septic Service. Call the numbers 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638 and Twin 735-8281. With a big truck that pulls in the yard that says smells cargo on the way, the best. Dino's Septic Service. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zebra.
Yes, sir.
At the Burley Senior Center today, we're having finger steaks and hash browns and all of the trimmings.
Wow. You know, that sounds really good, Joe. You know what I like to have with hash browns and finger steaks, and you're probably going to laugh at me, but a couple of eggs over real easy with a lot of hot sauce.
That sounds like a winner.
Okay. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland. It's only $5, and by golly, they need the help, and support them. Thank you, Joe. God bless you.
Have a good day.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I am really worried. I watched the departure of President Trump out of the White House with his lovely wife. I watched him this morning as he waved goodbye and said goodbye to a couple of people that were fairly close to the sidewalk on the walk to the helicopter. Then I watched him as they got out of the helicopter and went up on the podium to say a few short words and then get, for the last time, on Air Force One for the flight to Mar-a-Lago in Florida. I am very concerned that today, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. That doesn't mean I'm going to back up and shut up. I am really concerned that Biden is going to sign 17 executive orders into order today. And I'm very afraid that the Democratic Socialist Party will turn the good policies that Trump had in effect and throw them in the trash. You may not want to hear that, but it's absolutely the truth. You and I, and you will notice this within the next 30 days, you and I are going to be paying much, much more of our money and our savings just to exist. There will be, right around the bend, higher prices on everything. Now, write that down. And Zeb said this, Zeb said that. Yes, I did. I won't back up. Our personal security will be threatened more so than ever before. Why? And I'll explain it. The perverted policies of the left that favor the criminal over the victim. Over the victim. Did you, and I'm going to be paraphrasing this because I don't have the news story right in front of me by sources that I trust, but a young man walking his dog the other night, confronted by two people. One was a convict, a worthless felon that had just been let out of jail way, way, way too early, pulled the gun out, point blank range, shot the young man, and killed him. Killed him. Now you can't even walk a dog. And the felons are back out on the street. Like I said, the left favors the criminals over the victims. And I'll say something else here real quick, and then I'll take this call. For those of us, and I mean that voted for Trump and his policies, and by the way, if there are ears out there hearing this program that are demanding reprogramming and purging and cleansing of people that supported Trump and his policies, hello, my name is Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch. I support his policies. You just come and talk to me face to face. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. These are really dangerous times, Zeb. And now that, they should be celebrating their victory and taking over all three branches of government. But no, they want to eliminate any future competition by calling all of us that supported President Trump, white supremacist. I don't know about you, Zeb. I have a lot of patriot friends. There's not one white supremacist in the group.
Well, hold on a second. Wait a minute, Adrian. Adrian, I want to jump in on something.
Yes, because they know they have a minority president. They know they stole the election through voter fraud, mail-in ballots, et cetera, et cetera. And so they realize that they're up against a gigantic wave of unhappy Americans right now that knew, I think 86% the last poll, that of Republicans said that the election was stolen.
All right, let me jump in for a minute, Adrian. Wait a minute. Let me play ball with you here. I've got a catcher's mitt, and I'll catch your pitch. When we start talking about some of these evil words from the left, and I'm going to be very adamant when I say this, and if somebody doesn't like it, turn the dial. I will not be called a white supremacist. I will not be called a racist ever again like the Democrats in this state did to me back in 2007. I will not be called a bigot. And I pity the person that does, Adrian, because it's now time not to keep turning the other cheek, but to stand tall, stand firm, and stand for something.
Well, I'm totally with you. Absolutely, I agree totally. We're not white supremacists. We're not racist. We're not bigots. We stand for individual liberty and freedom under our constitutional republic. That's what we stand for.
That's right.
We believe in the First Amendment, although 3/5 of it is gone. Freedom of assembly, speech, and religion are basically gone.
Let me just share something with you. This guy, I got to get this right here. Steve Schmidt said yesterday, and he's the co-founder of the Lincoln Project. Listen to this. There will absolutely be no forgiveness for Republicans who supported Donald Trump. And then this guy, an authority, so-called, on religious cults, and this guy's name is Stephen Hassan. He said that absolutely all of America needs to be deprogrammed because of Donald Trump. All I'm going to say, and I think you'll agree with me, Adrian, you got a deprogramming course? Bring it on, baby, because I'm going to burn the book.
Boy, you got that right. But no, they're demonizing us. They got to deprogram us because we follow the Trump cult. It's not a cult, for crying out loud, but they, like I say, they're going to say all these words. There was no insurrection at the Capitol. The truth of the matter was, as you well know, that this was planned. They had busloads of these Antifa, Black Lives Matter people in there, and they were going into the Capitol 20 minutes before Trump even finished his speech. And so this whole thing was premeditated, and they knew the outcome, and they were, regardless of what happened there, they were going to demonize Trump and all of us because of that. And unfortunately, some Trump supporters got caught up in the emotion of the thing, but I can guarantee you that was all premeditated by the left so that they would get the outcome that they desired, which is is what we see now.
I agree. I got to run, and I got to get some spots in. But, Adrian, I know that you will stand tall and stand firm, and I respect you for that. But I just hope everybody within the sound of my voice says, hey, wait a minute. We are not going to accept less. We are not going to accept the filth and the sleaze of the Democratic Socialist Party. Thank you for your call.
Absolutely. We got to stand tall. And just remember what President Washington said 1794, quote, truth will ultimately prevail where the pains is taken to bring it to light.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I appreciate it. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Want to remind everybody about Cheney Flooring and Home Design, Idaho's premier home design center. These people are so talented. And believe me, Whitney can design, and she knows all about the beautification of your home. Check it out. Their store is the Big Blue Store right there at 1300 Overland Avenue in Burley. Unbeatable prices and designs. Believe me, and they've got the best of luxury vinyl plank, carpet tile, hardwood, mosaics, countertops, home decor. They're good. Cheney Flooring and Home Design. You get a hold of them today. Real quick, don't forget on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. What a restaurant. What a bakery. You'll look forward to that at 8:30 right here on Zebeth Ranch. Sophie's Chatterbox, thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I would trust Al Capone more than I do Joe Biden, because with Al Capone, you know exactly who he is, what he is, and he just didn't make any bones about it. With Joe Biden, the people that put him in his office are going to find out just how derelict this man is, how corrupt he is, and it's going to be put many of our allies in danger in other countries, and especially Israel.
Yep.
So this bunch that voted for him are going to be sorry they ever put him in office, because they're going to get hit with higher taxes. We're going to get stuck with thousands and thousands of foreigners pouring into this country, having one kid after another, and our taxes are going to skyrocket to take care of the mistakes that Joe Biden is laying on us.
I agree. I am absolutely not going to sit here this morning and be all warm and fuzzy and say, oh, gee, I'm so happy today. I am not. It is a very sad day for me and my wife and my family, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tony. God bless you and Mary, and thank you. Thank you for your call as always.
Well, one other little thing, Zeb. I'd rather be out cleaning up a septic tank than watching this inauguration.
Well, go get a couple of sponges for me, too, would you? Okay, thank you.
Bye.
God bless you. You know what? I'm not sure how to phrase this, but I was thinking about it last night. I am so sick and tired of people like this Steve Schmidt with the Lincoln Project, and people like this absolutely arrogant, easy Zeb, FCC, arrogant person by the name of Steve Hassan that are condemning any and all Trump supporters and saying that we all need to be deprogrammed. Listen to what this, hold on, caller, listen to what this Steve Hassan said, about us belonging to a cult. And he says, I developed a BITE model of authoritarian control. And it basically talks about controlling behavior, information, thoughts, and emotions to create a new identity that's dependent and obedient. Did you get that? Dependent and obedient. This is the slime and the sleaze of the left. They want us to be sure and unify with them and have our minds deprogrammed so that we are dependent and obedient. They tell it right there what they want to do to people. Make them dependent and obedient. Caller, you're on the air.
Admiral, General
Originally, growing up, I always had a job. Didn't pay a lot of attention in school other than when the recess bell rang and I wanted out. And I've been nosing around on the Civil War. And if I'm getting the picture right, the North went after the South for trying to tax them out of everything they had built in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a feeling as if that isn't what is going on today. Is they're going after what's left of the working class in this country.
I think that may be very observant of you. I think that there is an absolute... Now, I'm just going to state my opinion on this. You can agree or disagree. But I think the elitists that are involved now with the Democratic Socialist Party are absolutely turning their noses up higher and higher to people that are of the middle class or, unfortunately, the low class, if you will, in this country. I think that if you're not an elitist and you don't belong to their sick, perverted way of thinking, you are to be squashed, changed, or just cast away.
That's the way it looks to me, Zeb. And it's going to be up to us to ignore what's going on there in a certain way and keep America great the best way we can.
And that's the key right there. I will never on this program weaken. America is first. We, the citizens of America, should be first. I have pride in this, the greatest country ever. There is no other country that I bear any allegiance to. There is no other flag that I want at all close to being higher than our flag. And that's the way I'm going to stay on this program.
Well, that's the way I was raised, Zeb. Get out and work for it from the time I was, 5, 6 years old.
Yep.
And I'm not going to change my ways.
Amen. Don't. God bless you, man. The man up on the mountain, Earl, thank you. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you.
God bless all.
Thank you. You bet. Thank you. I read through this garbage. This filthy garbage of this Stephen Hassan when he was on CNN. And he absolutely said that we, as supporters of Trump and policies, have a dissociative disorder. We are questioning our identity. And the bottom line is, all of America, this is the words he used, all of America needs deprogramming because we've all been negatively influenced by Donald Trump. Oh. Those are fighting words, folks. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Isn't that what Germany done, and isn't that what China's doing?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you don't fall in line in China, if you do a couple things bad, you go to a re-education camp where sometimes your family never hears from you again.
That's right. You know,
and that's what they want here.
You know what? Stop for a minute. I'm so glad you called when you did. Let's talk about a reverse, shall we? I was thinking about this morning early. Supposing we, the Trump supporters and conservatives, we turn the tables and we start organizing a propaganda campaign where we want to deprogram the left. Let's go after them. Let's have a center of change. Let's pick maybe a garbage dump in Iowa where they will be taken and deprogrammed. Let's start with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Schiff, Biden, Harris, CNN, and CNBC. All of these people with their socialist minds, and let's deprogram them.
Exactly. And you imagine the uproar if there was to come out a conservative group saying that all the liberals need to be deprogrammed?
I think we should daily, we should have compassion for their souls and their minds that have absolutely been warped with liberalism and left-loon thinking. And we should show compassion by saying, please call a certain number. We'll get an 800 number, and we'll say that help is just as close as a telephone to get you deprogrammed from being a stupid, idiotic, national democratic socialist.
Exactly. Like I said yesterday, there's smart, stupid people out there. And just for an analogy of what's going on, what President Trump has lit in the flame of, is just think, when you're on an airplane and they say if the mask falls, what are you supposed to do? Put it on yourself first, then everybody else that's with you that can't do it for themselves. So if you take America, and if we put America first and take care of America, then we can take care of a lot of the world.
There you go.
But if we take care of the world and not take care of America, we're going down.
You know, and they're so blatant about it. Last night on the news, I was listening, I was channel surfing, and I heard many, many times, why, Biden's going to stop this American first idea. He's going to change this, that, and the other. You know what? When we stand up, and we should be standing instead of these silly, overpaid, underworked athletes that sit on their knees or their rear ends, when we stand up for the national anthem, I'm proud of this country. I'm not proud of Brazil. I'm not proud of Czechoslovakia. I'm not proud of any other country in the world except my country, America.
Yep, and like I said this morning after the pledge, may this flag fly over a country of the free and the brave for a long time.
You know, there's a statement that was made quite some time ago, early this last fall, and it was picked up on by a lot of people in the media that are conservatives. And I'll just give you a summation: the red, white, and blue flag of the United States of America, the colors that never run.
Exactly. And one thing I've read on a few internet sites and stuff like that, and I totally agree with, that if you have to cheat to win, you're still a loser.
Amen to that. Amen to that. But, you know, when you listen to all this garbage coming down the pike, Doug, whether it's Steve Schmidt with the Lincoln Project saying absolutely there should be no forgiveness ever for Republicans and conservatives, and then you get this other guy that's developing a program to deprogram all of us conservatives. You know, how are they going to do it? What are they going to do? Go house to house and say, Zeb and Deanne, did you vote for Trump? Yes, we did. Uh-oh. Get in the van. I'm sorry. Here you go. What are they going to do? Round up everybody? And like in the movie Red Dawn, put them behind barbed wire with little cold aluminum huts to get out of the weather? What are they going to do?
Well, first off, the big media is going to start banning any conservative groups. They're going to start wanting to ban Newsmax and OAN. Because they don't fall in line with their propaganda. I mean, this country is more divided right now, and it's going to get more divided under this administration if Biden gets Biden. That'd be a good name for him.
Yeah, there you go.
If he gets sworn in.
Yeah.
I mean, they are dividing this country. They are wanting to take this country down to a third world country. They're wanting to do what Hillary Clinton was supposed to do after Barack Obama. And they're going to try to do it fast because they know they don't have long.
Did you hear about that New Mexico state representative that said last night that all Trump voters should be branded with a scarlet letter S, which means subversive? Listen to that.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, my goodness, I about fell out of my lazy boy. I had to hold on to the handle and make sure I didn't hit the electric button and eject myself. It was absolutely crazy. Said all Trump voters should be branded with the scarlet letter S for subversive. Wow.
Well, they think they've got They think the foxes are guarding the hen house right now. They think they've got free reign. They are drooling on what they can get done and what they can do and how they can destroy this country and put it in, just take it down.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they want to do. They want to tear down the wall that was just built. I mean, come on, folks.
Yeah. This is a...
People in. What's going to happen to the wages in this country? If they want $15 an hour and you let all these people in from Guatemala and down south, you're not going to get $15 an hour.
There are three things. There are three things that I'm very concerned about with the stupidity of the Democratic left by saying that they're going to bring in or allow literally millions and millions and millions of voters and give them a fast track to being a citizen, and they will be voters. Number one, health concerns. Number two, economic concerns. How are we going to take care of them? What are they going to do to be at all helpful to our economy? And number three, security concerns. Many of these people are not worthy of being out of their country. They should be in jail because they are criminals.
Exactly. If you don't vet people coming in, I mean, that's just like, okay, don't lock your door and you wake up in the morning, there's people in on your couch in your kitchen, they say, hey, feed me.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? You going to go start cooking and feed them, or are you going to kick their butts out?
The milk of human compassion, and I have said this many times on this program, I went to the refrigerator the other day and doggone it, mine is empty.
Exactly. You got to take care of yourself. You take care of your family before you take care of the neighbors.
Absolutely.
You take care of your own household before you go build someone else a house.
Well, Doug, I'll tell you what, we are in dangerous times. There are those that are criticizing me right now saying, oh, on this day you should be positive. No, on this day I'm being cautious.
On this day, I'm still saying right now, because it's not noon back east yet, that President Trump is still my president.
There you go. Hey, I got to run, buddy. Thank you. Quickly do your spiel, if you would, please.
All right, everybody. Oh, and I got a word to the wise, too, just after the spiel.
All right, hurry.
Okay, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them, volunteer, and go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart. And the word for the wise, old Festus said, the water's not going to clear up until you get the pigs out of the creek.
You've got that. And by the way, that's the name of my dog, Festus, so he agrees. Okay.
Good name.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. I stand by. Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. Now, listen, here's the deal. They've got all the Bobcats. They've got all the trenchers. They've got all the scissor lifts. They got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. They've got what you need to finish the job of lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying, and they've got the best of rental rates for you. That's right. Rent this equipment, and absolutely, they will teach you how to run it. You're going to be a happy camper. Stop in and see them today at Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, when I think back the day of the election, that Idaho only voted 65% for President Trump. And I knew right then that Idaho was going to be in dire straits if we don't straighten up. We've got to get something going. What is wrong with our citizens?
Well, we are incorporating into the fold, if you will, many from other states that are extremely liberal. They're getting away, so to speak, from some of the liberal content, but they're bringing much of it here. And I absolutely am scared. I shudder to think that a red state like Idaho, conservative and thinking through the problems and looking forward, may turn into slowly a purple state. And I hope and pray to God it never becomes blue.
Well, you know, one thing I'm concerned about is our upper level of government in Idaho. Our legislature seems to be real solid. We have a good leader there in the representatives and a good leader in the senators. You know, we got stability, but from there to the top, not so sure.
Well, everybody has a right, and it should be a right, and hopefully will stay that way, of making their own personal decisions on who is going to be running the show, so to speak, and how and why. And that's why we all need to be very observant. We need to be very well informed and not be like that silly ostrich on that TV commercial that buries its head in the sand.
Yes, that is ridiculous, but that's a good example, because there's many people that say, well, what can we do about it? We lost. Now, we just as well go away and do what they tell us and everything, and I guess everything will turn out all right.
Yeah, well...
It's not going to turn out all right.
That's right.
We're going to have to stand up for what is right.
Absolutely. You know, this milk and cookies idea of, let's all sit on a blanket and hold hands, we'll sing a couple of songs, and then we'll have some Oreos. Don't go there, because I can't stand that kind of thinking. Keith, God bless you, man. Appreciate it. You're right on. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, thank you. I got to get to the weather, and the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They are good, and they are such knowledgeable people over there, and they give you access to the best practices and technology for your hearing health. Absolutely. Do not put it off. They're right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency room, and they are there to serve you absolutely with your hearing health. 312-0957. That's the number to call. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Old Scott Man with the weather.
Maybe a little snow in the forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be right around 40. Increasing clouds tonight with a low of 24. For Thursday, partly sunny and a high of 41. Mostly cloudy Thursday night with a low of 25. Now for Friday, 20% chance of snow. Looking for a high of 40 there. Friday night, still that 20% chance of snow with a low of 24. Saturday, slight chance of snow in the morning, then mostly cloudy, a high of 34. Partly cloudy for Saturday night, a low of 16. And for Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 34. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They help me, and they will help you. Absolutely. You call them today. The number, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I've got time for some more calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Honestly, somebody call me and tell me, how in the world would people like this absolute imbecilic person, Stephen Hassan and Stephen Schmidt and some of these others, including former NBC News anchor Katie Couric, saying that all the Republicans who voted for Trump should be deprogrammed. How would they ever establish that? What would they do? How would it be enforced? All conservatives and Republicans would be rounded up in a yellow school bus and taken to points unknown. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, it took Mao Zedong in China a long time to kill 100 million. And right now we know for a fact that 80 million plus voted for Trump. And they not only did they vote, they came out. We know that more wished they would have, and they still stole the election. I said this the other day. The pendulum has swung to the right for us with Trump, and it's still there. It doesn't matter how badly they want it to change and how much they think they're going to shame us into being something else. The awareness level
in America for the Constitution and patriotism is higher than it's been in a long, long time. In fact, I don't know when. But this is the thing. Today they're going to swear in an illegitimate president. They stole the election. They stole the Georgia election. And I talk to people I know around here and elsewhere, and they're literally sick to their stomach. They're scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fear is not of God. We have got to figure out ways to do something. Now, the people of Georgia, the people of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, know who they voted for, and they know the election was stolen in those states. Now, I can't imagine that they're going to stand by and allow these states to have another stolen election. They couldn't fix Georgia in time. But I can't imagine that the patriots who feel raped and robbed like we do aren't going to figure out a way. The people of America are ingenious, they're industrious, and right now they're furious.
Randy, let me jump in here and say this, that it is not a time to sit down and just read your program. It is time to stand up stronger than ever before and be counted. Let your voices be heard. I, for one, am not going to sit down and be in the shadows. I'm going to do as much as I can, as long as I can on this program, because America is too great, the greatest country ever in the world, and I absolutely am going to be fighting for my grandsons. I got to run, but your final thoughts, real quick. Don't go on. Go real fast.
It ain't over with, and the fact that they went ahead and they've overplayed their hand, and there are ways to stop them. I don't know. Mitch McConnell has been bad-mouthing our president. I'd like to bust the glasses on his head. But this is the way they all are. They flip-flop. They're all compromised. And like we said, we've got to figure out what we're going to do. The House members that were elected into the House this term were mostly Trump Republicans.
I got to run. Thank you. Appreciate it, Randy. God bless you, man. Want to remind everybody about Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon at 18 East Main Street in Declo. Oh, we're headed over there this weekend. I didn't make it last weekend. I feel really, really bad about that. But they're open Wednesday through Saturday from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to closing time. And you're talking about steaks, delicious steaks and prime rib, lobster, chicken, and ribs. Oh, I'm drooling all over the microphone. I'm telling you what, you better plan on coming on over to Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring your relatives. Have a good time on 18 East Main Street in Declo. Wick's Steak Place. We'll see you there. Want to also give a great big shout out to our dear friends, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, couldn't do it without them. They are so good. They are committed to offering you the best tire value anywhere. And I'll guarantee you that they've got all the sizes, all the tread designs for all vehicles. You stop in, they will help you. They come out to the car or the pickup and say, "May we serve you?" And yes, they will help. All the best of tires and brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, it's all there. And they care. Absolutely. James over in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. What's coming up next hour? We've got my dear friend Dave Beagle. Cannot wait to hear some of his comments about what's happening. And then we were lucky. Dan Perkins down in Florida called me And he said, Zeb, I know a doctor that absolutely has been on his program, and he recommended that he come on mine. His name is Dr. Steve Schmitz, and we're going to be talking about COVID and what was, what is, and what may be with that Chinese virus. We're going to have him on at 9:30. And then at 10:06 this morning, it is our monthly review of the Idaho fishing game, and I believe that Craig White's going to be here along with some others. So that's the rest of our program for today. Today, on a lighter note, is National Cheese Lovers Day. And every year at Christmas time, my aunt back in Wisconsin sends me a great big, I mean really big, cheese sampler, and I really thank her for that. I love cheese. And also, today, my daughter and my son-in-law, Nick and Toby, are having their anniversary. So we say happy anniversary to Nick and Toby Cummins. You bet. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Sean. He's going to take us up to news. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning on this Wednesday, January 20th. And Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, from our dear friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's so easy to get rid of your garbage. If you're new in the area and you're going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just call 734-6969. Get on the route service, and once a week they'll come by with a big truck and get your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You give them a call today. Real quick, I want to remind you about a big event that's going to be happening with Hanson Mortuary over in Rupert. It's going to be on Tuesday, February 9th from 4 in the afternoon till everybody's finished. They're going to have it really easy in your car where you can drive up and get all the information you need with vital statistic forms, veteran forms, information on traditional services, cremation. They're going to make it so that everybody can get the information that all families should have, and make it easy for you so you don't have to get all dressed up, come on into the office. No. Just pull up in your car or pickup on Tuesday, February 9th from 4 until done, and that is, of course, at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. For more questions or answers, give them a call at 436-5636. One other good word this morning that absolutely means a lot to me because they've helped me so much, and that's Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I want to give a great big shout out to Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists. They are absolutely excellent, and they can help you too. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call, 678-1191. And don't forget, he also has the place where we all need to go to keep fit, and that's Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. They are definitely, along with Elite Fitness and Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, caring for your fit self. Absolutely. Let's go to the phone line right now. And I said earlier, and I'm going to repeat this, today is a very sad day for me. And I think for those of us that really enjoyed, prospered, and felt secure with the Trump administration policies. And today is a sad day, as I said. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana. Your thoughts?
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, I'm very concerned about what direction this administration is going to go in, who's going to control them, and I hope that Biden backs down and doesn't let the left control him and the Democratic Party in our country, because they're going to bring it down if they do.
Dave, right now, this morning, going into the early hours of this afternoon, with pen in hand, Biden is planning on signing, I think, at least 17 executive orders. And the first and foremost, I'm afraid, will be on immigration. I see an impending storm. I see huge dark clouds on the horizon, and it's obvious. We can see it on the news, too, where the caravans of many, many, many thousands of people that are demanding they enter the United States. Woo! This is very worrisome to me. What are your thoughts?
Well, it is, Zeb, and the reason that the Democratic Party wants it is because they're controlled by the left and the unions, and they want them to come across and vote for the Democratic Party and in the election process, even if they're not legal and registered, because at the polling stations they'll let them go to, they'll let them vote for the Democratic Party, even though they're not legal. And then the unions want them to get jobs, and then they'll unionize them in those areas that they're working.
I couldn't agree more. Basically, what this is a power play, I think, and correct me on my verbiage if you will, a power play to just literally buy and cast in stone forever, it could happen, the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I think you're right, Zeb, and I hope that some of the Democrats and Biden wake up and stand up and say no.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a wake-up with Biden's name next to it, because I don't think that the man will be in office possibly past midsummer. We have a caller. We'll take that call. Go ahead, please. Quickly, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dave. How much danger will Israel be in, along with many of our other allies?
That's a very good question. Dave, go ahead and respond, please.
How much danger will they be to the United States?
No. How much danger do you think will be looked at and cast upon Israel with the Biden administration instead of the protection from Trump?
Oh, I think they'll go after him and not support him, and that's a sad thing. And Trump's done a good job in the Middle East over there, and he's kept Iran or Iraq and Saudi Arabia and every place else. He's kept them down, and that's what he needs to keep. We need to keep doing, and it's unfortunate that Israel will be feeling the results of that.
Dave, the policies that I have read and studied over the last couple of days, immigration, Paris Climate Accord, fuel, our economy, our national security. I got to say this, and I know I'm going to sound like a real downer on his inauguration day, but I absolutely am scared to death as to the negativity that this administration will bring to America.
Well, I am too, Zeb, and as I've talked on your show before, unfortunately, Biden and the Democratic Party are controlled by the far left, and that's the sad thing, and they will push ahead on these things because from behind they're going to be pushed by the far left, and I just wish they would stand up and have some backbones and do what's right for America.
Dave, let me ask you something. I've always had a lot of respect for you and the way that you conduct yourself, and you're a businessman, very successful, etc. But when you turn on the TV at night, and Sean, I've got a little bit of feedback coming down the line, if you would. When you turn on the television at night and listen to people, and there are so many of them, ranging from college professors to people involved in politics to former news anchors, all of them saying that we, as Donald Trump supporters and supporters of his administration policies, all of us need to be rounded up and deprogrammed, and all of us need to be purged and cleansed and have our minds altered. What are your thoughts?
I think these people, and it's just like the Republican Party and Mitch McConnell, they don't have the backbone to stand up. During the Trump administration, they would say the things that they thought were true and everything, and but when it comes to somebody else controlling the country, they just want to get in a position that they're not attacked. And people got to understand you have to be able to stand up, and that's what America's done ever since its founding. And even in the wars like World War I and II, and the other wars we've had, we stood up to our attackers, and I think that's the same thing that we need to do when it comes to politics.
How do you, not meaning you personally, but how do we as conservatives, how do you possibly go under the tent of unification with Biden and their arms outstretched saying, come on in, we'll take you, all you have to do is get down on your knees and repent of your sins? How in the world do you unify with these bigots and these arrogant you-know-whats?
I don't know, Zeb. There's no way. And again, American people need to do the right things for America, and they got to stand up and be strong. And our Republican Party needs to do that now.
Right there, I want you to elaborate, because I totally agree with you. I want to see, and it would not hurt my feelings at all, if the moving van was parked out in front of his office right now this morning, and I'm talking about Mitch McConnell. I find him to be a two-faced, mealy-mouthed backstabber, and I have no respect for the man whatsoever.
Well, it's sad, and when I wrote my book, The Devil at Our Doorstep, and which I've said many times on your show, the same tactics that were used against me and my company, the same tactics have been used against this president and this country. I spoke in Washington, D.C. in front of the Senate and the House, and went through all these things, and I met with McConnell and other people, and I could always feel that they just didn't have the strength to stand up and fight back to these people on the left.
Absolutely. There's another aspect of this I want you to talk about. I make no bones about it. When I look at that red, white, and blue, and I probably, and this is not bragging, it's a fact, with all the events I've done over in my career for the last 50 years, I probably heard the national anthem more than most anyone else. And every time I hear that song, our national anthem, and look at the colors of the red, white, and blue being hoisted up on that flagpole, I absolutely have tears of pride in my eyes for this, the greatest country ever. And just the other day, the lefties that are going to be connected with politics with the Biden administration are saying, no more American first attitude. Well, I'll tell you something right now, Dave Bigo. America's number one to me, and not going to take a step backward or be lowered in anyone else's opinion.
Well, I agree. And, but the left and Biden, they want to go back to this one world order and everything. And they think that's a nice thing to do for our people in other countries around the world. But the truth of the matter is that downgrades America, and it doesn't teach the rest of the world how capitalism and the free markets work, and that they need to do the same things the United States has done, and it will make their countries grow and have the same benefits that this country's had throughout its years.
Look at our grandkids. Look at generations to come in the future. And the education system of saying that America's not very good, it's just kind of a mediocre country. Oh, let's just go along to get along. Stand up or sit down. It doesn't matter for the national anthem. No, you don't have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. We're just an also-ran country. What a sick society that is, and I won't be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, of course, our education system, it's been controlled for the last 30 or 40 years by the left and the unions, and it's like the teacher unions. They're really on top of Biden, and of course, Biden's wife's a teacher, and so they are influenced heavily by the unions, and the unions, all they care about is getting more money in the pockets of teachers, and of course, when they do that, they get more dues money from the teachers, and the dues money is what they use to promote their life and put money in their pockets because they don't know how to really work and be successful in a free market society. The only way they know how to be successful is by controlling other people.
Well, okay, but you know more about labor unions than I ever will because of your contact and what personally happened to you. But maybe I've missed something over the last 6-8 months to a year. I haven't been reading that much about unions. I haven't been reading that much about their power plays. I haven't been reading about what they want to do. Have they been kind of laying and smirking in the weeds waiting for this moment?
No, they've been very, very aggressive behind the scenes, and they contributed the most money to the Biden campaign, and they've been going after things. And if people read my newsletter, which I've sent to you too, a lot of times I'll have a lot of big articles in there talk about the tactics of the unions and what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, they want to control this country.
How much control do they have, Dave, right now? I mean, we're looking at the day one of a Biden administration that absolutely, I think, is open and amenable to anything that's socialistic. And therein, open the door for the unions. What do you think? Kind of look into the crystal ball and tell us what you think is going to happen over the next 3, 6 months to a year basis.
Well, the unions already have influence on Biden, and it's already. And I think it was in my newsletter last week that I sent out. I had a bunch of articles in there, and one of them is that Biden is going to eliminate all the regulations that or put back in all the regulations that Trump eliminated through the National Labor Relations Board that gave unions power in that, and he's going to put those all back in so the unions have power. It can go out and dictate and force unionize people. And there's even one article that he's going to approve card check. And card check is what the union tried to do to me and my people.
Oh, my goodness.
Where, they take away the secret ballot election process and go to card check where they get a bare majority of your employees, 50% plus one sign union card, you're automatically union. And to facilitate that, you have to give a list of all your employees and their home addresses so they can go to their homes and intimidate them into signing the cards. And this is what we're going to be facing.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it this morning. I did before I signed on my program. The goodbye of Donald Trump and his lovely wife as they walked out of the White House, went along the steps and the sidewalk, said goodbye and shook hands with a lot of people, and then walked over to the helicopter, got in the helicopter, flew to the air base, got on Air Force One, and before that said goodbye in a farewell speech. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was deeply saddened because I think that we, the people of the United States, from right now, this minute, are going to be going through some very rough times.
Well, Zeb, like I said, yes, that's what I'm concerned about too. But I'm hoping Biden wakes up, and so does some of the Democrats and the Republican Party, and they don't let this happen. And unfortunately, Trump, one of the big reasons he didn't get reelected is not because of things he does. It's about how he speaks and how he comes across. And, he just really gets under people's skins and irritates them in that. And he needs to be more professional when he presents himself and talks about the things he's doing.
We have a caller, Dave, with a question or a comment. Go ahead, caller, please. Quickly, you're on the air.
Well, I think he may have gotten under some people's skin, but I think people were delighted with him. 80 million people voted for him. Probably turns out to be more than that. So I don't know that that's really the issue. We know they stole the election. We know they stole the election in Georgia. But right now what we got to do is, I guess, if we're going to be saddled with these communists, we got to have some sort of an idea of what we're going to do. And so, is there any silver lining that you see anywhere, or are we all just as screwed as everybody keeps saying? I'll hang up.
Answer the caller, please, Dave.
Well, again, I think it comes back to the Republican Party standing up and having some backbone, and there's several of them that are doing that. And I hope they can get the rest of the party to stand up and do the right things. And if they do that, they can even convince some of the Democrats to join them in stopping this stuff.
Absolutely.
And, by telling them to have some backbone, too. And this is what it's all about. And I say that people out around the country, you need to talk to your politicians that are in Washington, D.C., and the Senate and the House, and get inside their brains and tell them to do the right things for America, not the right things for them to stay in office.
Amen. Amen. By the way, one quick subject I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, we got another call with a comment. Caller, quickly, please.
Dave, one question I had. After the Civil War, the South freed their slaves and was probably freeing their slaves prior to the Civil War, and the North hung on to theirs. Would that be a true statement, and is that what I'm seeing today?
Well, I think some people all across the country at that point hung on to their slaves, but I don't think that's true of what's going on today. Even though America was divided then, it was coming back together, and we got to get it to come back together now.
But therein lies the problem, though, Dave, and I'm not trying to exacerbate this or beat a dead horse. How do you unify the country when you have the power party right now, the Democratic Socialists, that absolutely are condemning and damning anybody that was a Trump supporter?
Well, again, Zeb, the Republican Party needs to stand up, and they need to start to get out and talk to people, and get them to do the right thing for America. And again, all the people across this country need to talk to their politicians, get the Republican Party to stand up, and get the Democratic people in the House to understand what's going on and step back and do the right things for America.
Let me ask you this real quick before we have to leave. I've only got 2 minutes left. But the cancel culture, I mean, we've seen it happen now in Harvard, where the cancel culture is saying, hey, we want to go after some of these graduates and take their degrees away, take away their diplomas. We want to whitewash the college for them ever being here. What are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't surprise me at all, Zeb. Many times on your show, I've talked about that the left has controlled the educational system from kindergarten through colleges for the last 30 or 40 years, and that's just another way of them, staying on top of these people and intimidating and brainwash them.
I tell you what, one little paragraph give me that you would think would be good advice today for all of us to try to get through the beginning of an administration that doesn't seem user-friendly. What's your words of advice?
Again, Zeb, I've already said it. Our people in America need to wake up and quit being brainwashed by the left, and they got to do the right things for this country and understand that you can't make it into a socialist, communist country, because if you do, we'll become like Venezuela is. And I urge them to go online and look at what Venezuela is really like and stand up and do the right things for America and make sure that they get their party to do the right thing.
Amen. A dear friend, Dave Bego, author and, of course, extremely well-thought-of businessman. Thank you very much for being on the program, Dave. God's blessings to you. Thank you.
Same to you, Zeb, and thank you much. Have a great day.
All right, sir. Thank you. Dave Bego. He's been on my show for a long, long time, and I really appreciate it. Let's see. I want to remind you, too, about Denny's Restaurant. Oh, boy, 611 North Overland in Burley, and then also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. They are America's Diner. I mean, I love breakfast, and they've got some fantastic menu choices. As a matter of fact, I don't know how you're going to select. They're all delicious. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts. Oh, my goodness. Go on in and just enjoy delicious food. Thomas and the staff, they absolutely are committed to making sure that you enjoy the dining at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see these really, really nice people today. Want to also give a great big shout out to a business that they just really are concerned about working hard for their people, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. When you talk about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, or employee benefits, you got to talk about Cameron and Siemens Insurance. They are so dedicated and so devoted to serving you. What do you have to do? Excuse me, just call the number. Make an appointment at 436-4424. They are located right on the curve going into Rupert. You can't miss them. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Thank you for being on the program. One more good word, and then we're going to go to our guest, I think, waiting on the line, and I would like to give a great big shout-out to our friends over at Patterson's Electronics. I mean, man alive, I don't know Kamir from Sikkim when it comes to electronics. I know if you plug it in, push the button, it should work, okay? Well, they know everything. They know everything at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena, man, I tell you what, when it comes to the home theater systems, the video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, all the complete sound systems, all the TVs, holy moly, they've got Bluetooth stereos right now with CD, AM, FM, now only $54.99. Stop in. These people can help you. Patterson's Electronics, and they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Really, really good folks. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and very, very happy. I talked to this man yesterday, and I'm so glad that he's able to fit us into his schedule. Dr. Steve Schmitz. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes, so I guess I'm in pretty good shape. Dr. Schmitz, it goes without saying that I'm so glad to have you on the program to talk. And by the way, Sean, we've got a little feedback on the line, if you would, to talk about primarily COVID-19, the Chinese virus. Are we as American citizens, in your opinion, being told everything about this virus? And are we doing the right things right now as far as the vaccination programs, how they're being rolled out to the American public? Kind of give us a thumbnail sketch of what you think about this.
Sure. Well, I do believe we're getting as much information as is available. And I think that there has been some politicizing of this, but I think we're really getting what's important. And so, first of all, this is the worst virus, the worst infection. I think the worst public health disaster in the last 100 years. And so, to some extent, there's a little bit of uncertainty about what's going on. But I think what we know is this is a very highly contagious virus, that it spreads by droplets, also spreads in the air, spreads a lot less by contact. And there are some measures that you can take to help prevent yourself getting it. So the things that you hear about, like wearing masks, which, in my opinion, is not controversial, social distancing, trying to avoid crowds, and washing your hands. All these things are, I think, well-known public health measures. And then we go on to the vaccine. And the vaccine is, I think, the best way for us to obtain what's called herd immunity. Herd immunity means there's where a certain percentage of people have it, it makes it a lot harder to transmit it. And so I'm a big fan of the vaccine. In fact, I was in the Pfizer trial, and I'm still waiting in a couple of months to know if I got placebo or vaccine. Let me pause for a second and let you jump in as the host.
Well, Dr. Schmidt, I'm going to say a couple of things, and I want you to expand upon them. Number one, the double shot, if you will, being provided by Pfizer and Moderna. And I think the time frames between the first and second shot may vary a little bit. But what about the second shot as far as being available? A lot of people have jobs to do. A lot of people are traveling with their jobs. A lot of people go south for the winter months, elderly people, etc. Let's say they've had a shot up north in the northern tier of our country, and they go to another location. How are they going to get the second shot without traveling all the way back?
Well, that's a great question. I think in terms of getting a second, you really want to get a second. You know, there's a vaccine coming that is a one-shot only. But the idea between the two-shot vaccines is you give yourself the first shot, and then your body reacts to that. And then when you get the second one, there's a much greater reaction. So there probably is some, as we've seen, some decent effectiveness with one shot. But you really want to get two. In order to get up to that 95%, you want two. So if I were a person, I'd do all I could to figure out a way to get a second shot. And I'm not sure how logistically you do that, but I think the rollout now is going to be more extensive than perhaps it was in the beginning. There were some hiccups getting it out. So I think if you're look for another place where you can get a second shot. Go online, figure it out, but get that second shot because you really want to boost yourself up to 95%.
You know, that being said, a lot of the Pfizer and Moderna shots that are being given right now across the United States, and then before too long, I think Johnson & Johnson is going to have a singular shot, and we've heard people, they've called into my program, that said, well, I'll just wait. Even if I'm offered Pfizer or Moderna, I think I'll wait for the single shot from the Johnson & Johnson. What's your words to them?
Well, you know, I think if you do all the usual kinds of things to keep yourself safe, I think that's reasonable. I think there are actually a number of, intelligent people, there are doctors, nurses, who are going to wait a while for it. And so I think it's reasonable, but that means you still have to practice all of the measures that you're supposed to and do it consistently.
Doctor, I will say this, and I'm very blunt on this program. I think that the way the vaccine was rolled out was absolutely bordering on idiocy, saying that there was going to go to certain tiers, certain segments, etc. I said, and I'll maintain, that if they would have rolled this thing out and vaccinated anybody 65 years of age and older, we would have saved many, many lives.
Well, you're absolutely right. This rollout has been far from optimal, and I can't disagree with you. I think that this is the most serious public health issue of the last 100 years, and it certainly wasn't treated that way.
You know, you said earlier something that really piqued my interest. We were talking about the mask wearing, and we were talking about social distancing, and I'm going to be really honest with you. I am fed up with the masks. I am fed up with the social distancing. I am fed up with living like under a microscope. And then I heard people say the other day, and I'm sure you heard this too, that some of the so-called experts have been saying that we, the United States of America, and the world for that matter, may be in a kind of a pandemic lifestyle for a long time to come. What are your thoughts?
Well, like you, I'm got a lot of COVID fatigue. I've managed to, fortunately, been able to have a job, work from home. My wife as well, and it's exhausting. It's stressful. It's exhausting. I'm sure there's mental health crises going on all over the place. But I'm willing to wait it out because, again, I think that when we get vaccinated to the extent that is being promised, we're going to be in so much of better shape. I still think, though, we're not going to live as locked down as we will at this time in 9 months, but we're still going to be wearing masks. I suspect we're going to be wearing masks and be a little bit socially distant for a long time because this virus, as you know, they're up to about the 4th mutation. We're not sure yet that the vaccines hit it, but let's just assume that they probably do. But the vaccine mutates and it's still out there. So I think the key. I know that there are a lot of people who are skeptical about vaccines. My view is it's a lot better a way to get herd immunity than getting an infection. And so I'm a big fan of them, and I would encourage people to get those.
I will ask you this question. I stated this the other day on my program. Do you foresee that there are laboratory studies right now that could commingle, maybe that's not a professional term, but I'm going to use it anyway, commingle the standard flu shot with the COVID shot so that it's one injection, and that might be more palatable to the American public?
Oh, I think that has its own logistical complications, and I think that I don't think that's going to happen. That might be something way down the line, but hopefully we'll have COVID under control. I think, these vaccines were developed with such unbelievable speed that I think we're going to keep them separate.
What about some of the ways, I think you alluded to this earlier, and I want to pursue this a little bit and have you elaborate. Besides the masks, besides the social distancing, and I'm going to be quite frank, I miss seeing my family. I miss being in the same room with all 20 or so of us. I miss the gatherings. I miss friends coming over for Christmas and sitting down and visiting about the holidays. I miss all that. But what other precautions, besides the mask and the social distancing, what are some of the other things that we could do to maybe slow down the chance of getting it?
Well, I'm a big fan of some some supplements that support the immune system is one thing, and so I'm a particular fan of a couple of them that are put out by a company called CV Sciences. You hear a lot about immune support. I mean, you hear Dr. Fauci talk about taking vitamin A and vitamin D and other things. And so I think what you want to do is you want to boost your immune system so it's ready to fight whatever it encounters, whether it's a flu virus or whether it's COVID virus. It's, again, no guarantee, but you'd rather have the system boosted as much as possible. And you probably know the immune system is really, really complicated. It consists of cells and chemicals and receptors and organs, but its mission is really pretty simple. It's just to protect your body against invaders, infection. It's kind of like a 24/7 army that marches around your body, and it recognizes when your body's been invaded by something like a virus. So to give you a quick example, you scrape your knee and you draw blood, and over the next week, your skin gets red, swollen, painful. That's really your immune system kicking in, sending cells, clean up the damage, and then get your skin back to its normal shape. And the strength of your immune system is affected by your age. So my immune system, your immune system was stronger 10 years ago than it is now. And nutrition also affects it. So also things like stress, sleeping well, eating a healthy diet. But the thing is that most of our diets don't contain the necessary micronutrients that keep your immune system running at its best, which is why I recommend a couple of supplements.
Okay, nutrition. I want you to expand on that. We all think that we eat nutritionally and eat the best of our foods. Occasionally, though, life catches up with us on the fast track, and we have to pull into Mickey D's and maybe get a burger and fries and a Coke and hit the road again. But what are you talking about good, solid nutrition?
Well, I think that the micronutrients that are particularly helpful for the immune system are things like vitamin A, vitamin D, zinc, selenium, and those are a little bit challenging. You can get most of those in your diet, but typically not all of them. So it's often an easy fix to supplement those. And so you're hearing a lot about vitamin D lately, with vitamin A, et cetera. So I think a supplement is a nice way to enhance your the micronutrients in your system.
Let me ask you about the virus itself, and I make no bones about it. If I'm wrong, you can tell me. I got big shoulders. I lay the blame and point the finger at the Chinese government for a slovenly, sloppy, and maybe even purposely letting this virus escape. But what is it? Why was it even enhanced? And why are we allowing anywhere on the face of the earth this kind of bacterial study?
Well, I don't think that this was created by the Chinese. I would totally agree with you that they were sluggish in letting people know what had happened. They've had SARS before. They could have alerted the world a lot sooner.
Yes.
I do believe. I know that there's conspiracy theories that it was created in a lab. I personally don't believe that. I believe it was in the wet market, and it hit the Chinese. One of the first physicians not long after he contracted the disease and died. He's now a hero. So I think they did a really terrible job of letting the world know that there was another very serious virus out there that was a serious respiratory virus that was potentially fatal. And then so that was really unfair to the rest of the world. And then, although there was a partial travel ban from China, it wasn't total. And probably, I recall reading about 40,000 people got in from China. And they also, it didn't stop. Once they put the ban on China, people just went to Europe and then flew in from to New York. And so it turns out that more of the infections came from Europe via China than from China itself. So yeah, I think they deserve a lot of blame for not informing the world, and that probably could have had an impact on countries taking it more seriously.
What about the fact, and again, I'm going to use my layman's terminology, but as much as I've been hurt in my life and in hospitals, I think I've got a little background to ask this. Viruses mutate. Viruses might look like Joe Goodguy one day, and the next day they're dressed up like Black Bart ready to rob the stagecoach. They change. They mutate. So if you develop a vaccine today, what about tomorrow?
Well, there's a lot of different mutations, and so sometimes the thing that mutates, the vaccine may be, for instance, designated against a certain spike protein. There's something else that mutates, but it still sees that spike protein and still is able to take care of it. So a lot of times there's more of a broad-based immunity by an antibody. But again, that remains to be seen. There's now we're up to four. It's going to take time to know if one mutation is breaking out in higher numbers. So that'll take time to know. But I think in general, most virologists think that many of the mutations will still be recognized by the antibody.
When you look at polio and you look at other diseases that have run rampant around the world, and polio, of course, rearing its ugly head again, I know because I'm a victim from 1952, and we look at our lifestyles. Are our lifestyles around the world today more accessible for viruses? Have we lost a lot of our natural immunity?
It's an interesting question. I don't think so. Let me ask the question back to you. What would make you think that you might lose your natural immunity?
I think that we've been catered to. I think that we've been mollycoddled. I think that we, in days gone by, living on the farm and growing up on the farm, you cut yourself, you go wash it off. I just think we've lost our toughness, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm not sure we have to viruses. I think certainly there's a good argument that because we've used antibiotics so much that we can sometimes see the emergence of superbugs. But those are bacterial. But viruses are everywhere, and there's typically not a whole lot of treatment for them.
What about the future? Are you, as a physician, a doctor that really knows and studies this, are you really concerned about another virus, another leaking of this terrible tragedy pandemic happening again? I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
Well, nobody has who's alive has seen anything like that. I think the experts believe that this is not the last coronavirus, and so I think what we can say though is that we are going to be a lot more prepared for that in the future. We will be able to mobilize things more quickly. I think that there will be research dollars that will be going to places that study bats where they may harbor some of these viruses. It's going to go to pandemic preparedness, I think. But yes, there will probably be be viruses in the future.
I know that a lot of people were shooting from the hip. They didn't understand the virus. They didn't know what to do to combat the virus or slow down the virus. But one of the things I thought was absolutely devastating to the United States, and for that matter, other parts of the world, the lockdown, shutdown attitude absolutely caused more damage than in some cases the virus. Would you agree?
When you say the shutdown, you think shutting down towns, economies, made it worse?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. I think there was more to be concerned with than just the virus and the possible spreading of the virus. Look at the suicide rate, how bad it went up. Look at the lack of education for our children. Look at the absolute destitute attitude of not having their business open and losing everything they had. That also is a very unhealthy situation.
Well, sure, I understand what you're saying. I'm just coming at it from a physician, and I've got friends who work in the ER and are seeing these COVID patients die. I mean, it's a very, very deadly disease. I think what your comment is a very interesting one, and I think we're only going to be able to find out about that. Let's just say, in the later in the year when we can really study that and see what happened. I mean, clearly there's been economic devastation to businesses all over the place. There's been depression. I doubt, I don't know what the suicide numbers are, but I doubt that they've been, 400,000 above normal. But in any event, it's been horrible all around, and I think that when you open up, what ends up happening is you get more infections. It's just one of those really tough equations.
Doctor, I've enjoyed having you on. I certainly hope that I can keep your number and contact you and have you back in the future. Dr. Steve Schmitz, thank you so much for being on the program. God's blessings, and thank you for sharing with us this morning.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting doctor from down in Florida, and he was referred to me by my dear friend Dan Perkins that you hear quite a bit on my program. Hold the phone. I've got to go and get the weather forecast on. Caller, hang on just a minute. I'll be right with you. I got to get the weather on quickly. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company bring you the weather. They provide accounting services to the Mini-Cash area and have for over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, bookkeeping services. Oh, my goodness, the list goes on and on. Let them serve you and your business absolutely with the best of accounting services. They are the professionals. Offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Maybe a little snow in the forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be right around 40. Increasing clouds tonight with a low of 24. For Thursday, partly sunny and a high of 41. Mostly cloudy Thursday night with a low of 25. Now for Friday, 20% chance of snow. Looking for a high of 40 there. Friday night, still that 20% chance of snow with a low of 24. Saturday, slight chance of snow in the morning, then mostly cloudy, a high of 34. Partly cloudy for Saturday night, a low of 16. And for Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 34. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast.
Hey, Sean, turn the feed line up a little bit. I think they're a little low. Scotty's weather was real low. If you could turn it up a little bit, I'd appreciate it. And our weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Accounting services to this area, and they are the best. With offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, I've got exactly 1 minute. Real fast. Go ahead.
Well, you mentioned suicide, and my son is a school counselor, and they lost another one, which isn't the first one, to suicide again yesterday. And so there's a lot of it going on, more than we know about. For example, Montpelier area, when this COVID started, they had 4 suicides over there. They didn't have any COVID deaths. So Anyway.
No, I appreciate your call. My heart goes out to the families, and when I brought that up to the doctor, I am very sincere. I think that everybody's life has changed. Everybody's life has been thrown into turmoil because of this Chinese virus, and I absolutely think it's a major part of something that we need to check into. Thank you very, very much for your call. Thank you.
Yeah, I just didn't like his answer, I guess.
In some ways, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think it should have been brought out that more so than the COVID virus, there are so many extenuating circumstances, and mental health is one of them. Thank you. God bless you. Oh, real quick, I've got to tell you that if you're hungry and starving to death, I know some great places to go, and I'm running out of time, and I'm going to get this taken care of. The AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. Oh, they got all the kids' meals. Yeah, they do. The kids will be tickled to death. And, of course, they've got delicious sandwiches like the famous Farmer Brown Burger. I love it. I love it. And they've got raspberry, strawberry, and cherry shakes. I mean, you're going to love it Monday through Saturday, 11 to 9. AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's not forget Taco Bandito at 2301 Overland in Burley. Holy smokes, a great place to go for your morning coffee, but you can't have just the coffee. You got to have that delicious breakfast burrito. And they've got the pork burritos, and they've got the street tacos. Oh, the list goes on and on. Taco Bandito at 2301 Overland and Burley, absolutely delicious. Let's talk about not one, but two locations of Burgers Etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. And you know what? They got the fish sandwiches after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, only $3.99. Yep, that's right. Great food. And I want to emphasize how nice the people are that serve you. Open every day. You be sure and stop in. Burgers Etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. And last but not least, Steve-O's 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. They've got all the tasty steaks, the fillets, the ribeyes, the sirloins. Oh my goodness, what a menu you'll be sitting down and looking at and saying, holy moly, how do I choose? It's all great at Steve-O's. They're open Monday to Saturday, 11 to 9. You stop over. Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And those are some great places to eat when you're hungry and starving to death. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio, and we're going to take about a 7-minute break and be back with the Idaho Fishing Game. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. And here we are sitting in the studio talking, and the music interrupted us and said, it's time to go to hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind everybody, too, about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff. I'll tell you, Jeff is such a sports enthusiast and following his son and everything. Does a great job. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. If you're not aware of it, they are having a huge, I mean really, really big sale on flooring. Oh, my goodness, you've got to get in there and check it out. They have all your carpet, all your luxury vinyl planks, everything. So I urge you to stop in and see them today. These are the nicest people that really know all about the beautification and comfortization of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturdays, 10 to 4. Stop in and see them today. 459 Overland in Burley, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Well, it's that time of the month for our dear friends with the Fishing Game to come and visit us, and we have the Masked Desperado, the supervisor of this region. Hello, Craig White.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
It's not a bad day out there.
You know, it's not. It's nice and sunny, a little chilly, frost on the windshield this morning.
But let me tell you something, my dear friend. I'm one of those kind of guys that drops pens on the floor all the time. I am one of these kind of people that does not like a lot of snow. When you're on crutches, you do not like snow and ice. I have loved this winter so far.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I am. What about the wildlife? What's going on in your corner of the world with the bears and the moose and everything else?
Well, surprisingly, we haven't had as many calls to move a moose out of, say, Sun Valley or Ketchum, out of a window well or anything like that. That has been the true story in the past. We actually one time had an elk go in a window well up there. And,
in a window well?
In a window well, and then through the window and in the basement.
You're kidding?
Yes, that was a few years ago. But
if the guy's shower was in the basement, that'd be a really rude awakening.
Wow. That would be an amazing awakening.
Oh, and bears too, huh?
Well, not so much the bears. Of course, in the winter they're hibernating. We get them up there in the summer, into bird seed feeders and all that kind of stuff. But
really, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but this year's been pretty quiet except for one elk. We do have one elk that in October he got his antlers wrapped up in a hammock, and we went up there and darted him.
It's funny, but I can't help but laugh. He got wrapped up in a hammock.
He got his antlers in a hammock. So to repeat that, about 2 weeks ago, he got his antlers in a swing set.
I can't help it. There's a saying that you could use at a business meeting. Don't get your antlers all in the hammock.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
That's it.
I'm going to attribute it to you, Zeb, but I'm going to use that. Don't get your antlers all wrapped up in a hammock. I like it. And in my profession, people understand it because more than one person's had to deal with something like that.
Amen, brother. I'm with you. But what do you do when you have a moose with his antlers in a hammock and a swing set, and he's taking off a lot of the people's backyards?
Well, often, if it's just a small problem, a little string hanging, we'll let it go. But running around with a hammock or, a swing set usually involves us going up there and trying to detach the antlers, or not the antlers, but the swing set or whatnot. And
do you have to kind of give them what do I want to say, kind of a shot? What am I trying to think?
Yeah, we usually tranquilize them.
Yes.
Every once in a while, if the animal is kind of wrapped up through the body as well, we might just maul it, get on top of it and hold it down and, remove whatever it's attached to. But when they're still free ranging and running around, but they got something they're dragging, we typically try and tranquilize them and remove it.
Are they be easy to find if they were in a herd? They've got a play school swing set on their head.
Yeah, there's a bonus elk right there for you.
I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fortunately most of these end really well. I mean, it's a little bit dangerous in the sense that, the drugs we use are part of the fentanyl family.
Yeah.
And at the dosage we have to use to restrain wildlife, your deer and elk and moose, they're fatal to humans. This is the same drug family that is used in the medical profession to help people that have OD'd. But they do it at a very, very small potency level compared to what we're using. So it's a little dangerous for us. And anytime you got to try and corner an animal and put a tranquilizer dart in, it's dangerous for the animal too. So it doesn't always end well, sadly enough. I still recall about 2-3 years ago, we had a moose in a window well, and we we're up there working with the fire department and others and doing all we could and getting this thing out, but it took us so long once we anesthetized it that by the time we got it up top, it had stopped breathing, and we lost that moose, and that was a sad day. So, this is not really as pertinent to your audience down here in this part of the valley, but up there we encourage, and this is good practice for anyone really, because wildlife is all around this valley. The Magic Valley region, when I say this valley, to cover window wells in the winter in an area like that. Now you have to follow fire department protocols, because you still have to be able to allow someone in the basement to be able to get out a window well, right?
Yeah.
So, there's certain types of coverings that would
kind of
make
hard
sense.
to crawl by a moose, isn't it?
Yeah, but exactly. So you have to use appropriate kind of coverings that still have allow you to flip it open and get out.
Yeah.
But swing sets in the dead of winter somewhere where you get snow, you got to have pretty hardy kids, and we have pretty hardy kids in Idaho, but not that hardy. Why not put them up, put them out of the way, if you have wildlife that come to your backyard?
Absolutely. So for all you nervous Nellies out there that always get all worked up and starting to sweat, don't let your antlers get wrapped up in a hammock.
That's right.
Okay.
Keep your heart... pulse rate down.
There you go. Spring bear controlled hunt application period, January 15th through February 15th. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's coming up. So our earliest controlled hunts are in the spring with bears and then some turkey applications. The bear is the first one that you need to get your application in, and that is open from now until February 15th. Info's in our 2020 big game reg books.
Craig, are there any bears fairly close to Magic Valley that you know of?
Well, when you say close to Magic Valley, I mean we have them in north of us in the mountains there, the Smokies, the Bennetts.
Yeah, but nothing here.
The Bennetts they could wander into. They don't really reside in the South Hills. Not really. Is there been reports over the years, occasionally, and no doubt a bear could wander. They're not as big of a wanderer, say, as mountain lions or wolves or deer or elk. But it's it's always possible. But we don't have a population in the South Hills.
I see. Is there a reason not their habitat, or what's the reason?
That's a great question. I suspect, when pioneers came through, some of that country might have had a few bears. They're kind of islands, though. The South Hills are kind of islands, and like Black Pine Mountain, they're all kind of islands in a desert. Dry area, at least, maybe not the desert we think of in Arizona, but certainly more of like the Great Basin type dry, arid stuff. I mean, we're at the north end of that, right? The Great Basin, not quite in it, but similar type of habitat. So these are islands, and bear populations, like most wildlife populations, are going. Bears are bigger though, and they need a bigger territory. They're also going to need to be able to, have gene flow and bears moving in and out. And so I suspect there could have been, some 200-300 years ago, but it's not an area where it could really tolerate any kind of harvest and have bears.
Are they an animal, and this is for my own education, are they an animal that stays relatively in the same area from birth till death, or are they traveling animals like a lot of herds of elk, etc.?
Black bears, in my experience and study of them, and are going to stay more local. Like I said, a mountain lion could be raised up in the Boise foothills and transverse across the Snake River Plains and end up in the Waihees.
Really?
Yeah, a black bear doesn't tend to have those kind of movements. A wolf, territorial-wise, could have a 200-mile radius. Wolverines are a great disperser. We had one that probably was, born or raised or had been in the Atlanta area, or maybe even further north of that in the Boise Hills, and was at the Boise airport for about 4 or 5 days. No doubt, just dispersing.
Did he check his baggage and try to get a flight?
That's what he was trying to do: catch a baggage. Head up north to Canada or Alaska, where there's more wolverines.
Okay. This is interesting to me because I learn every time you're on the air. And by the way, you said about the spring bear controlled hunt, the info is in the 2020, or did you mean 2021?
No, I meant 2020. So our 2021 big game regulations, the commission, and this is important to know, our commission has a meeting next week where they will set the moose, sheep, goat seasons for the next 2 years. So that'll be the fall of 2021 and the fall of 2022.
I see.
Our big game season setting meeting is in March, the commission meeting. Starting about February 8th, the public can go out and they can get on our website and they can see the proposals that we have for big game season. So that's your elk, deer, pronghorn, bears, lion, and wolf. goals. So we start scoping from the public. We start asking them, these are things we're considering changes. What are your thoughts on it? And the process is actually a year or 2 year process. I mean, people can come in anytime they want and visit and say, I don't like how this hunt is going, or have you considered this? And we do take those considerations. We can't please everyone. But we try and listen, we try and make adjustments, and we also look at the data to tell us what harvest data and other stuff is doing. So the point is this all kind of accumulates to us putting out proposals. The public weighs in. We present that to the commission in March. And those big game seasons for 2021 and 2022 are set in March. But unfortunately, we're not able to publish those regulations until after that season setting meeting in March. So they usually come out in June online and printed by end of June or July. So our actual regulations for the springtime for bears follows the previous 2 years.
I got you.
So it's the same thing.
Do you find, I want to phrase this correctly, do you find that sportsmen are more readily to get involved with giving you, the Idaho Fish and Game, information or suggestions than perhaps other segments of our society?
Zeb, that's a great question, and you see me pausing and thinking about that. I mean, I'm not involved in necessarily other segments of public input,
right.
Like water resources or how to run a hospital. And we already talked off air about our frustrations
covered that
there.
ground.
Yeah. So I don't know necessarily how it compares. I've seen some county meetings, and this is what I guess the answer is. We do get some good turnout on some things like our deer and elk, season setting, and especially if we're proposing something that's different than what has been. Or if there's something someone's really passionate about, we tend to see some good participation. And I am grateful for passionate sportsmen and women that really are passionate are great, because it means people care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are people that care. And unfortunately, I think some people get frustrated and don't engage because they don't think their voice makes a difference. Their voice is heard. Now, we hear from a lot of people, and sometimes they're contradictory. So just because a decision wasn't made their way doesn't mean it wasn't heard and there wasn't an understanding that, potentially that could work. It's just making it all work together. There's going to be some folks that are going to be pleased and some that aren't, but I encourage them to always engage. I've had people that have been frustrated over one thing that stayed engaged, and a year or two later, as other seasons came open, it was like, now we can make that work.
Yeah. And I think that you would agree with me that if anybody has questions or comments any time during the year, you would probably recommend that they call the office over at Jerome, 324-4359, and voice their concern.
Oh, absolutely. And, that is our job. Sometimes I have people call and say, hey, I have a dumb question. It's like, there's no dumb question.
That's right.
And then they'll take some time and we'll visit, and they say, well, I really appreciate you doing that. I know you have other things, you have a job to do. And it's like, that is a big part of our job, listening to the citizens of Idaho.
This next one intrigues me, and that's mountain lion season in Unit 54, which is right that way. I'm pointing my arm in that direction. And tell us about that.
Yeah, I guess you could even say it might be right around your house.
Absolutely. You know something? All the years when I had my outfitting business and all the years that I've gathered cattle up in the South Hills and everything, and all the years that I've been up there, whether it's a horseback or on a four-wheeler, I have never seen a cat up there once.
Yeah, they're really...
I guess they don't want me to see them.
No, they're really cryptic and, blend in well.
Now we're going to really make the conversation an element above. There you go.
But mountain lions, we do have a quota, female quota. So when it's 9, and when that quota of 9 females taken in the harvest is reached, we close the take season. People can still pursue.
But it is a big area for cats, right?
Well, it's all 54, which is a pretty good chunk. I mean, you're talking all the way from Hollister back over, to the highway that divides Oakley and from the border on up here. To about Highway 30-ish area, at least over in the Filer area where I'm from. And, the point is it's a big area. Cats, we think, have been doing well there and other places in the region. In fact, one of the proposals we may talk about, we may look for, is to remove quotas up north. We've talked about it down here, but we need more discussions with people, with hunters, before we decide what we're going to do.
You as a fish and game person and a supervisor, honestly, do you see quite a few like up in 54 when you go up and visit the habitat, etc.?
No, but, I spent, my first 8 years was a research biologist, and part of where I'd collar elk calves and from basically as soon as we could get our hands out on them in May and June at birth. I mean, some of these calves were literally probably 6 hours old or at birth up to about 3 or 4 days, and we were also marking, trying to catch mountain lions with hounds. And we were successful, and I wasn't out there when we were doing the hounds all the time, but even with hounds, the times I was out there, we'd never had luck. There was mountain lion tracks or something else would happen. I have only seen less than a handful of mountain lions in the wild.
Really?
And this is a guy like you that spent a lot of time out there and sometimes had the aid of, collared animals and other stuff. They just... they don't occur in high abundance, compared to other stuff. They're not a pack animal. They're territorial. They're cryptic, as far as blending in with their surroundings, and they're very secretive. Unless you get up into Sun Valley and catch them.
Here we go with the window wells again.
Yeah. Or, we did have a mountain lion running wild in Kimberly about a year ago, if you recall.
I remember that, right on Main Street.
Yeah.
There was 2 of them.
I recall the one, but... there could have been 2.
Oh, okay. I thought that the paper said there were 2, but that'd be a real try and test of one's personality when you're turning the key to open your business and there's a cat laying there going, "No, you're not either."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, and this was...
Are they an aggressive animal?
Protecting, if they feel cornered, or typically if they're protecting maybe a cache, something they've killed, typically they eat what they kill, although sometimes they will scavenge. But if they're protecting that, they get more, or if they get cornered, or,
I would say one sitting in your door well is cornered.
Yes, exactly, and that was the concern with this one. Is it was really kind of in the back of a business. You see the people drive in. Suddenly there's a cat and there's a barbecue grill, and this cat's kind of bouncing off the fence, and it's like, this is downtown Kimberly.
That would be a place where the first customer might walk in and say, "How's your day going?" And boy, you don't want to get the answer.
Yeah.
Well, that would scare me.
And the thing that concerns us with a cat in a town like that, honestly, cats probably going up and down the Snake River corridor, right? And for the most part, they'll stay in there. They won't bother. But a cat that gets brazen are certain behavior characteristics we're looking for, because now we're concerned they're either getting habituated or for some reason they're losing their fear of humans. And those are the cats. And cats, dog's not the same as a wolf, but a cat's personality, in my opinion, is always, whether it's a house cat, a feral cat, a mountain lion, or a bobcat, is always a little bit unpredictable.
Really?
No matter what the species of cat is, it seems to be unpredictable.
What's the main part of their diet?
Well, for a mountain lion, it's meat. They're not like bears who are omnivores. In the spring, they're eating fresh grass shoots and onions and other stuff, and they'll eat berries throughout that fall. They'll eat fish. A mountain lion, it's meat. Whether that's deer or elk or porcupines or anything they can get their hands on, they're going to eat.
I see.
Meat-wise.
Are they like an animal that has to have a fresh kill every day, or will they go back to the same animal?
they'll go back, and consume. They'll actually cache it, they'll kill it, and often what they'll do is go right through the ribs to the heart, high protein, that kind of thing. They'll consume it depending on, how hungry or situation. They'll put leaves and branches and dirt on it and kind of cover it up, but then they just go up on the hillside and kind of watch it. They don't make a kill every day or necessarily even every week, but they need to try to, about every 7 to 14
What
days.
is a normal size of a mountain lion? Like, do they, and I'm not trying to be facetious when I say this, are there areas of the United States where they grow bigger and larger?
I have a friend that studies, he actually worked out, was at the University of Idaho, a postdoctorate student, and we did some work together and published some stuff on mountain lions, and he ended up in Florida working on the Florida panther.
Do they have a lot of mountain lions down there?
Well, they have the Florida panther.
Panthers.
Yes, which is a mountain lion. But it has some troubles in that genetically it has some bottlenecks, and so they have some kink tails and some other stuff, and they've even taken mountain lions that they caught, further west of Florida and put them in there to try and diversify the gene pool. I've never really talked to them about weight and stuff, but based on what I've seen, I think what you can say, it's kind of like the old adage about fish. You throw a fish into an aquarium, you give them a big fish or a big aquarium, you give them plenty of food, and they'll grow to fit the aquarium. Mountain lions, I think, you could say have the same thing.
I see.
Now,
I was going to ask you about panthers, and then I got to take a break. But are the panthers primarily in Florida, down and or near the Everglades, primarily?
Yeah, I don't know the exact range, but I would say from what I could recall, there might be some up by Tallahassee, but I think most of the work is kind of central. If you drew a line through kind of where central Florida would be down to the Everglades.
Okay. All right, caller, real quick. I'll take your call. I've only got a minute, and then I've got a hard break at the bottom of the hour. Real fast, go.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what's the deal with putting bells on deer? Is that for mountain lions or for something for deer?
Go ahead, Craig.
Well, if I understood the caller's question right, he asked putting bells on deer. Is that what you heard too, Zeb?
That's what I heard. Yeah, go ahead, caller, real quick. What?
Yes, like a cowbell on deer.
We've never, that I know of, put bells on deer. We do put radio collars on them. So these are strap about 1 inch wide, and at the bottom they have...
Like Albion, there's some deer with bells on them.
Well, what you may be seeing is these radio collars. They're actually now anymore satellite transmitters.
Oh.
They used to be a VHF type transmitter.
Ding ding, like a dinner bell or a cowbell on them.
Well, that's not us. Maybe it's a deer that got wrapped up in a bell.
There you go. You got moose that got wrapped up in the hammock, and now you got some deer that went into a hardware store and wrapped up in bells. I don't know.
We do put collars on them that are transmitters, and they have a black box at the bottom, and that might be confused for a bell.
Okay. I've got a hard break. I got to get right to the main studio. Sean, take it away. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. And turn the microphone on, Zeb. I know you're new at this. I want to remind everybody about a great place to eat. And it was so nice of Craig to walk in and say, the next time you go over to Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon in Declo, he's buying. I'm looking forward to it. My golly. As a matter of fact, we're going to head over there this weekend. They're located at 18 East Main Street in Declo, and it is good eating. I've talked to a lot of folks that have been there, and they said you don't want to miss it. Steaks and prime rib and lobster and chicken and ribs. Oh, and nice people to boot. You're going to love it. They're open Wednesday through Saturday, 4 till closing time. It doesn't get any better than this. Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon at 18 East Main Street in Declo. We'll see you there. Right now we're visiting with the regional supervisor for the Idaho Fish and Game. Great guy. Love to have him on the program, and he's got more information about mountain lions. Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, so Zeb and I were talking about the female quota in Unit 54. We had closed it erroneously. We made an error last week, and we closed it. We thought we had reached our quota. We had counted 2 mountain lions that should not have been, 2 females that should not have been counted towards that quota. So that order that closed it has been rescinded, and the South Hills, Unit 54, is open to pursuing and harvesting mountain lions still. Until we harvest 2 more female lions, if we do this year.
Okay, Craig, appreciate that. This next one really gets me because we've talked about this before, and it's just absolutely sickening when you think about the outright poaching and wastage of wildlife, and it's happened again with Canadian geese. You want to give us the story?
Yeah, so about a month or 2 ago, Canada geese were shot and left to waste along this Snake River in Minidoka County. We put out a plea for help. As you know, largely when we are successful, it's because of public help. We don't have enough officers out there. Some of these officers cover territory about the size of Rhode Island. And we didn't get really many leads that we could pursue and figure this out. Well, lo and behold, it's happened for the second time. Roughly around January 16, at least that's when it was reported to us, we did find some more Canada geese that had been dumped and left to waste along the Snake River in Minidoka County, and it was dumped in the same location as the 9 geese left to waste in late December. And so once again, we're looking for help. These geese were left intact, no meat taken, nothing. So
how many in total?
Well, I believe 6. Yep, 6 this time and 9 before, so 15 over
just
2.
Just shot and left to waste.
Left to waste. You know, hey, geese, goose meat, it's a delicacy.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that these were shot and left to
we
waste.
had stories that you have given us, and I've seen the proof in the pudding, if you will, of dumpsters being just loaded up with carcasses of dead geese and other poaching. Like I've said, the law is not tough enough, in my opinion, to go after these people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know what it is. I think sometimes these aren't what I would call hunters.
No.
They're folks that are wasting the meat. They're folks that maybe didn't even go out with the intent really to hunt. They just wanted to go shoot something.
But they're also hurting it for everybody else.
And they absolutely are. And that's the real tough part.
Yeah.
Is it's a valuable resource, and they just want to waste it. Another thing maybe people have seen in the Boise paper was there is a mountain goat over on Hell's Canyon area that was off Hell's Canyon Dam that was wounded by multiple crossbow bolts. These are target crossbow bolts. All they have is a fill tip, just a round tip with the point on it, not even a broadhead like you see archery hunters use to actually humanely and ethically pursue game. These are just target crossbow bolts, and someone had shot this goat multiple times, once in the forehead and several times to the body with these crossbow bolts. And it came to our attention when someone said, hey, there's a goat out there that looks pretty emaciated and it's obviously suffering. And so we went and looked at it, and sure enough, it was, and we euthanized it and removed several bolts.
So some idiot that didn't have better use of his time used a mountain goat for target practice.
Pincushion, yep.
I have not words that I can use because of FCC rulings.
Well, it's a pretty egregious action.
Oh, it's terrible. What do they do? What does the public do if they are aware or know of poaching? What do they do? Who do they contact?
They can call our CAP hotline. That stands for Citizens Against Poaching. The number is 1-800-632-5999. Again, 1-800-632-5999, and they can remain anonymous. You say that for me, Zeb.
Anonymous.
There you go. and that's the case about this goose situation. If anyone knows about it, just call that hotline or call our office. We use discretion. We don't broadcast your name. The officer will get your number and name and call you back. You got to know, reporting party's name. But again, you can remain quiet of who your name is. They can do that. They can call the office. They can call if they're witnessing it, because our office is only open 8 to 5.
Yeah.
They may not have an officer's phone number, but they always can call 911. They can call the county dispatch that they're at, or get a hold of the county dispatch if they're witnessing a crime. And any violation of fish and game law is a crime.
Yep.
And some are and so they can call the county dispatch, and the county dispatch can get a hold of our officers. They can also, send out a deputy. And deputies, just like our officers, are licensed peace officers that can uphold any law. So can a county deputy.
Absolutely.
Typically, they're going to get a hold of us because we specialize in fish and game law, and vice versa. Typically, we witness a crime, we get a hold of the county. But there's partnerships there.
Let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead, please.
Yes. I live over in that Minidoka County area. There's a lot of new houses going in where those geese are being found, and I was just thinking new lawns, geese will destroy them. Wonder if that's a possibility. Some guy comes out on his new lawn, here's some geese pulling the grass out, so he just plunks them and hauls them off so he don't get caught. I'll just hang up and listen to you.
It's a good point, sir. Yeah. Thank you for your call. Go ahead, Craig.
No, that's a really good point, and it's very plausible that's happening. Geese can become a nuisance, on golf cart.
But initially, it would have been better to call the Fish and Game in the first place.
Or just, get a license and enjoy the geese, in your pot, or smoke it, or whatever. Or ask around. There's usually hunters that will respect property and respect what you want done on your property.
Yeah.
That will absolutely come and harvest those geese and consume them.
Absolutely. Hey, I understand from your note here, which, by the way, is double space, typed with capitals. I mean, this is beautiful.
Yeah, Terry did it.
Okay. All right. Rainbow trout stocking at various locations.
Yeah, so we are putting out a substantial number of rainbow trout right now. These are trout that have been given to us as donations from various producers. They are in a situation where, because of lower volumes at restaurants as far as people eating, there's not as much fish being consumed, and so due to COVID, so they've had some setbacks in their industry as far as moving fish. And a lot of that fish, we have a lot of hatcheries in this Snake River corridor area. The water temperatures are perfect for it, and especially over towards Hagerman and that area, and Filer, and so there's a lot of private stuff. Buell is the rainbow capital of the world because of the number of fish they produce for human consumption at restaurants. So we have been putting a lot of fish that these private industry, private folks have donated to us into the waters. And, for example, recently we put 40,000 in Bell Rapids, and these fish are over a pound each.
That's quite a number.
Yes.
Wow.
And that was by Jones Fish Farm, Jim Mowry, if I have that last name correct, and I apologize if I don't. Reverence, which is, my understanding, is the new ownership of Clear Springs, has donated a lot of fish. In fact, I think about a month and a half ago, they had fish that were already filleted and packaged in boxes that they were handing out at CSI for free.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So you're talking about some great fishing for this next year.
We're talking about some great fishing right now.
Oh, right now.
Because most of these are, these are going into bodies of water that aren't ice over, that we can get them into. Another 500 went into Rock Creek Park. by, and that was donated by the College of Southern Idaho.
Is that down in the canyon there by the old hospital?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I've got to do a weather forecast, and then we're going to come back and wrap up with a couple of subjects with Craig White, Idaho Fish and Game. Don't forget Edith's Cafe at, of course, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. These are such nice folks. They take call-in orders, and they also do catering. My, you know where they are. They're, excuse me, right across the road from the Burley Golf Course. Absolutely. 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. And you talk about everything from sandwiches to steaks. They care. You're never going to leave there hungry, I'll tell you that. They're open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 8, and Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. The number to call, 878-2248. Right now it's time for the weather forecast. Weather forecast brought to you by Scarro's Meats, Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. You can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious flavors of bacon and sausages and prime rib, tri-tip, breakfast sausage. It's all there at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Maybe a little snow in the forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. For today, looking for sunshine. Highs are going to be right around 40. Increasing clouds tonight with a low of 24. For Thursday, partly sunny and a high of 41. Mostly cloudy Thursday night with a low of 25. Now for Friday, 20% chance of snow. Looking for a high of 40 there. Friday night, still that 20% chance of snow with a low of 24. Saturday, slight chance of snow in the morning, then mostly cloudy, a high of 34. Partly cloudy for Saturday night, a low of 16. And for Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 34. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. And don't forget, Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats. Absolutely delicious meats. Call them, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. By the way, what was the name, I don't have it right in front of me, of the lady that you sent over that one time to talk about the hatcheries and the fisheries?
Oh, she came with Terry.
Yes,
I'll have to.
It did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
I learned an awful lot about fish that I didn't know before.
I'll have to check for you, Zeb. There's two different folks that are floating through my mind at our hatcheries, and I don't remember exactly which one came.
And the hatcheries are working hard through the winter for the betterment of Idaho fishing.
Yes, they are, and I do apologize. That name didn't rise right to the top of my head. But our hatcheries, just like these private hatcheries, are busy, and that's one reason, these they're making these donations. Is it's expensive to feed fish over the winter, and most of their stock are gone. And in typical years, when there's a demand by the restaurants, and there hasn't been, and they've been generous to donate these. Our own hatcheries, when I say our own, Idaho Citizens hatcheries, Idaho Fish and Game hatcheries, that citizens, are ownerships of.
Right.
Particularly those who buy fishing and hunting and trapping licenses are the contributors to keeping those running. Well, they're raising fish through the winter, and they're busy doing that. So that come springtime, we have fish ready. We have usually two sizes. We kind of have what we call the 10 to 12 magnum size fish that we produce, and that's become very popular because they're catchable and enjoyable right away. That we'll put out, next spring, summer. And we also have fingerlings that are more in that 3 to 6 range, which is mostly what we're going to have early in the year, that we put in waters, and it allows them, to grow and get bigger. Some fishing can take place, but they're also just going to be there and growing and ready throughout the year later.
Let me ask you a question, Craig, and I don't think I've ever asked you this before, but like if somebody has on their farm or their ranch or their property in general a private pond, can they buy fish to stock it from you?
Not from us typically, but they can buy fish. They need a fish stocking permit. Some ponds might be next to like the Snake River or other spots, and if they're not designed right, if a flood came through, those fish could go from that pond into the Snake River, and so depending on kind of fish they have, it could be a bad introduction of a fish that we don't want in there. So the building a pond and of course there might be other requirements following Idaho Water, Department of Water rules and other stuff depending on what it is. But when it comes to us, we do require a permit for having a pond and stocking it. It's not very costly.
I was referring back to a program, I think Terry was on the air that day, and we were talking about, and for some reason I need to follow up and ask, you're stocking a lot more of the northern pike variety, is that right?
Yeah, we'd have to follow up with Terry. I mean, we do stock, those... I just had a mental blank come across. We do.
Welcome to the club. You're not as old as I am, but welcome.
Yeah, we do stock, down in Oakley and Salmon Falls and some others. Some of those varieties.
I see.
And we try and do. At times, some years we're doing more than others. So I'd have to follow up with Terry exactly where he was going with
the next subject I want to get into. We're almost out of time. Wintering wildlife, tips to keep wildlife safe. What do you mean by that?
Well, there's kind of a main period. So let me back up. Deer and elk in particular, they put on their fat on their backs during the summer and fall, and that's very crucial for them in these northern latitudes such as Idaho, because snow typically, although we haven't seen much this year, come.
True.
And during those periods, it's actually more of a starvation time for deer and elk and moose. They're living on their fat reserves that they put on from the summer and fall. And so with that in mind, they hunker down in the winter. They're trying to get to winter range where it's less snow. There might be some forage, but it's mostly a maintenance or starvation diet. It's what's key is what they were able to put on their backs in the sense of fat. And if they're disturbed a lot, you're exercising them at a time period in their lives where they don't need to be exercised because it's just burning fat that they cannot replace on that winter range, which is at the best a maintenance diet in these northern latitudes. So we encourage people to keep your dog under control if you're out recreating. Don't let your dog run around, chase deer and elk. That's depleting fat. Don't go bust into a group of animals just to see them get up and run off. You're causing them to deplete fat. Watch for big game while you're driving. There's some big periods, the seasonal movements in the spring, April typically, and May, and then in the fall, October, November, depending on where you're at, December, where elk and deer and other big animals are migrating. You should watch that period, but you should also watch in the winter because some areas they're going to be really congregated down close to a road. And then, we want people to be aware that if there's an emergency situation, Fish and Game staff will feed animals. Now, snowstorms doesn't constitute an emergency. As we talked about, these animals have evolved to adapt to winter time by putting fat on their backs in the summer and fall. So just because there's snow or lots of snow, it doesn't mean there's an emergency. But when people start feeding, and I understand it, it's out of the goodness of their hearts. They see these animals, they're starving in their minds. They look wet and scraggly after a rainstorm or a big winter storm. They want to feed them. But often, especially with deer, it's doing more harm than good.
Absolutely.
And we have a winter feeding advisory committee in this region made up of 5 citizens that give us advice, that help analyze the data that we collect and determine and give us a recommendation on when to feed and not to feed.
Very well said. Real quick, I've got 1 minute left. 2021 licenses on sale.
Yes, they are. They're on sale. Don't delay it. You might want to go out in the field, say, in the spring, or you pursuing rock chucks or other stuff, and you don't want to have waited so long you forgot, and you go do the activity only to find out, I don't have my license, and here comes a game warden.
Absolutely.
So get your license now, and you're going to have one if you're going to put in for the spring controlled bear hunt or any other spring turkey hunt. So Get it now, and you're set for the year.
And the number to call if you have questions over at the Fish and Game office, 324-4359.
That's correct.
I've got it memorized.
You got it memorized. If only I had as good as a mind as you, Zeb.
Oh, you don't want it. You don't want it. Anyway, I want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They care, and they really provide service to you and your vehicle. The very best of tires, all the different tread designs, all the sizes for all vehicles. And, of course, along with that, let's also mention the very best in brake service. With highly trained brake technicians, they know what they're doing, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. All of this and more with all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I tell you what, they've got a smile on their face, and they appreciate your business. Stop in and see them today. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Craig, thank you for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next month, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Zeb. It's always an honor.
Regional Supervisor for the Idaho Fish and Game, Craig White, and we're going to leave you with the Bible verse for today, Proverbs 12, verse 2, and it's really fitting for this day and age. The Lord blesses good men and condemns the wicked. Don't forget that. The way things were are the way things ought to be. I'm going to be gone tomorrow, doctor's appointments, and we'll be back next Monday. Sharon's going to fill in tomorrow. We always say with the final words, in God we trust. Have a wonderful day. Be careful out there. Zeb at the Ranch, take care.